Count it all joy, Charles is back online.
The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free.
Count it all joy, Charles is back online.
The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free.
Count it all joy, Charles is back online.
The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free.
Count it all joy, Charles is back online.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Equally Yoked Show. As we get started on this broadcast, I want to welcome you to this video as we begin to unpack everything that is happening in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, what's going down when it comes to the lies of the left, when it comes to the rhetoric that is being spread, the dangerous situation that is unfolding before our eyes in America. We have to understand that there is a point of no return. And so when we go to some of these video clips, when we talk about the AG in Arizona, who's trying to sort of backtrack the things that she was saying in the prior live stream that we went concerning this, that we mentioned concerning this, the statements made by the AG. And I think for context, I think we need to go back to really unpack some of the things that she said. And of course, then she's going on a live show, or rather an uploaded post, to backtrack some of the things that she said, or rather flip the narrative of some of the things that she said concerning the Stand Your Ground Act. And we are going to look at that in a moment. Now, let's see here. So if you're just joining in the podcast, consider subscribing, consider going through and, commenting on the live show, and email us, freedom@equallyyokeshow.com, as we begin to unpack all of this nonsense that we're seeing in the world today. Now, we have to understand that this is a spiritual battle. And the spiritual battle that we're talking about now, yeah, this is it. I want to look. Yeah, this is the clip here. But we're in a spiritual battle. Everything that we're watching is very heavy. It feels heavy on our hearts. It feels heavy as we witness the things that we witness on social media, on the news broadcast, wherever we're listening to this, the stuff that we are, ingesting when it comes to content. We have to be careful with what we're listening to. And so when it comes to the party of the left, when it comes to the party of the right, who holds the ultimate truth here? The only one who holds the truth and defines everything that we see in this world is God and God alone. And so you say here for the first commenter, your problems are not due to demons, my guy. Well, of course, for somebody that doesn't believe in scripture, somebody that doesn't believe in the spiritual activity of what actually happens behind the scenes and things that we cannot see, because that is the spiritual realm, of course, that's something that you're going to say. And I understand where you're coming from, because I used to be in the same position where just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because God, of course, God is spiritual. God the Father is spirit, and we worship him in spirit. But not only that, does the book of Ephesians talk about this spiritual warfare that we battle against, and that is not of flesh and blood, even though we see the manifestation of that in the real world, where what begins to unfold in the spiritual manifests into the natural. So as we begin to look at this clip from the AG of Arizona, where she begins to talk about this stand your ground law. And so here's the moment that this was captured on a news outlet. And then we're going to go to her statement that she begins to backtrack and maybe flip the script here, saying the Republicans got it all wrong. But the things that she is implying here is inconsistent with what she was saying on the broadcast. So let's take a look.
Exclusive interview with our Bram Resnick. She warned that a confrontation with ICE agents could turn deadly because of Arizona's Stand Your Ground law, the law that lets someone defend themselves if they honestly believe they're in danger. Well, now the Police Association's Executive Director, Joe Kluwer, is calling those comments that you just heard reckless and dangerous. He says officers, including members of the Attorney General's own investigative team, they don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they're in plain clothes or wear protective face coverings when circumstances do require it. And that word, words from elected officials, they matter. Kluwer warned that it only takes one unstable person to take those comments the wrong way and then act on them.
And here's the reality of it. And there's some truth to this, because you have to understand that what the radical left is doing when they're listening to these news outlets, when they're listening to their favorite podcasters, when they're listening to people like Don Lemon, when they're listening to people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Barack Obama and AOC and Ilhan Omar, when you get to the root of the message of this, is they are encouraging and inciting violence by calling ICE agents terrorists, that they are terrorizing American citizens. This is indeed fear-mongering, the fear-mongering of the American people. Now, this has most certainly switched right up from where the focus was in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, which was fraud. So the focus shifted rapidly. And we're now seeing media focus their attention to the ICE agents, and they're covering really what they want to show and how they want to portray their message as ICE bad, Trump bad, Democrats good. And it's funny because I saw a post today, and I think there is a bit of truth to this, where this guy says the US is weird. You have the Democrats who will basically make chaos their number one priority. and they will be loud, and they will be chaotic, and they will be violent until they are elected into power. Then and only then will they be quiet. Then and only then will they not be violent. We've seen this happen throughout the history of the Democratic left, the radicals who do this type of nonsense. And you have people that are defending lawlessness, people that are defending lawbreakers. And the inconsistency that comes with this is you call out the Trump administration for being lawbreakers, and then you can't even call out your own party for being lawbreakers. That includes the protesters, that includes your congressmen and women. So there's inconsistency, there's moral inconsistency, and in fact, you lack a sense of morality when it comes to your reality. Because your reality is your God, your mindset is your God, your self is your God. The fool hath said in his heart that there is no God. And this is an unfortunate point of time where we've seen humanity just become increasingly darker and darker, as Jesus said would happen in the last days. So the interview here, let's go to the interview talking about this stand your ground law. Now, I'm trying to find the exact, I need to actually pull up the transcript first. I need to find the exact quote here. Stand your ground state. So this is what the AG is talking about concerning this matter.
Bram, is that we're a stand your ground state. We have one of the most expansive stand your ground laws in the entire country that rivals even Florida. We also have a lot of guns in Arizona. We're a gun culture in this state. And, it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification.
And by the way, YouTube Hunk, you are missing the message here. You're missing everything that I'm saying. Nobody's talking about protesting being illegal. Nobody's talking about this. Only you. And this is what you seem to be implying, that I'm saying that protesting is illegal. And when people begin to take this type of freedom of speech out of context, when they begin to extend their freedom of speech, as I mentioned in the email sent to you, that the people that are going into churches and exercising their so-called freedom of speech by disrupting service, you cannot do this. They are breaking more laws, and you begin to defend them. And your politics become inconsistent. Therefore, you become really incompetent in what you are actually saying.
Wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
Here she goes. This is her statement. It is broadcast for the world to see. And she begins to, I need to save that clip so that I can show this for people who that think that I'm lying here. When I bring up these points, you fail to, you try to bring up your messaging when it comes to Trump bad, ICE bad. But then you can't effectively defend them, because when you begin to look at your own party, in the case of Arizona AG Chris Mays, when she says we have the stand your ground laws, we have them in place because if you feel like your life is being threatened, you can use lethal force. Now let's look at her. Well, maybe we'll let her finish a little bit here, and we will go on to the next clip of her backtracking on what she said on this interview. And she's saying Republicans are saying I'm saying this. She said it, not Republicans.
I want to be careful with that.
I don't even need to let her cook. Her look said it all. Somebody says, I'm a dangerous person saying such crazy stuff. Okay, so what is the crazy stuff that I'm saying here? When I'm clearly pointing out what the Democrats are saying, This is what she said. She said, we have our stand our ground laws. And if you believe your life is in danger, let me go back for those that didn't hear it, because I think it's important to listen to what she says concerning this. Don't be distracted by the chat. Don't be distracted by anything else. Keep your mind open to what she says, because it's very clear.
You know, it's kind of a recipe for disaster, because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
She leaves it at that. She makes this little look. She kind of shrugs her shoulders, does that little look, and says, well, this is what it is. This is our law. That if you believe your life is in danger, you can indeed use lethal force. And she's referencing ICE agents who indeed are wearing masks. We've already talked about this. We've already had the poll here on the chat actually yesterday. And a majority of you said, and I understand where you're coming from, the majority of you said, hey, look, no, we believe that these ICE agents should have masks. And I understand that. Or shouldn't have masks, rather. I completely understand that. Now, we also have to put into perspective that they are being doxxed online. That all their information, that the hacking that is happening by these radicals who are releasing their information only for people to terrorize, possibly terrorize their family, put them in danger, cost them their lives. But they're getting death threats on the daily, not only from these folks that want them to be revealed, but they're getting essentially these death threats from the radical politicians who are spouting this nonsense of the type of rhetoric that they're saying, such as A.G. Mays. And so this is her statement on ICE. And what she said concerning the interview, that apparently the Republicans are twisting her words. We saw her words. We may have to go and revisit her words for a moment just so we can get a refresher if we need to. Maybe. So let's play her clip.
I'm Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays. I want to speak directly to Arizona law enforcement and reiterate my support and appreciation for the work you do every day to keep our state and its people safe. I have seen firsthand, as your Attorney General, the dedication.
By the way, let me address a comment here, because KTB says none, absolutely none of these shootings would have happened without them there. So are you defending the fraudulent activity that was going on by the Somalian community? Would you rather the fraud to continue on? Would you rather people to continue breaking the law? Because that's essentially what this is what you're advocating for when you're saying ICE shouldn't be in Minnesota. This is only happening because of fraud. Trump sent ICE to deal with the fraud by removing those who are committing the fraud, and then you begin to defend the fraud. So where's the level of inconsistency here? Where do we draw the line when it comes to people who break the laws, when it comes to people who are scamming the American people? And so you're doubling down by saying ICE should not be there, period. So this is your position.
And commitment that you bring to a job that is inherently
Thank you for clarifying.
dangerous. You will always have my full support. Despite how right-wing media has characterized recent comments that I made about ICE and the danger its actions pose to public safety, the idea that I would want the life of any member of law enforcement put in danger is wrong, it's offensive, and it is an outright lie.
Again, she mentioned this in the last interview that we just watched. She's referring to the law enforcement agents who are on the ground in Minnesota, who are on the ground doing their work that they are told to do. According to the law, their law that they're to enforce is to deport illegal immigrants, and Trump even said it on the press briefing, saying, look, we're focusing on, and I'm going to grab that clip for you so we can bring some more context into this, because I love context. I love showing things in context because it brings the picture together as to what actually is happening. So let's continue letting her cook for a little longer. She's going to dig herself deeper in her own hole.
Danger to law enforcement is the very thing I want to avoid in Arizona. But I will not be deterred from speaking out and criticizing the Trump administration for its ongoing abuses of power and its trashing of our sacred Constitution, which I took an oath to uphold, an oath that I take seriously and with every ounce of my being. And I will not accept the hypocrisy from Republican legislators and candidates for office who have twisted my words but remained silent after Donald Trump pardoned the rioters who assaulted and beat Capitol police officers on January 6, 2021. Arizonans do not want masked agents entering their homes without warrants. It is un-American and it threatens the rights and safety of everyone in our state. But we have all witnessed the increasingly chaotic and dangerous activity of ICE agents in cities across the country. And this month, 2 Americans, Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, have been killed at the hands of federal agents in Minneapolis. The federal government has also become openly hostile to state and local law enforcement organizations in Minnesota attempting to keep their state safe. Because of what is happening in this country, I have become increasingly concerned for the safety of Arizonans.
And by the way, somebody says, remember, anyone supporting what ICE is doing, you are setting a very dangerous precedent. Will you still support this when it hits your states, cities, and towns? Yes. Why wouldn't we? There is no dangerous precedent other than the leaders of any country, of any city, the mayors, the governors, who begin to spout the rhetoric like your Congresswoman Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, like your mayor Jacob Frey, like your governor Tim Walz. They're all standing behind protective guardrails, behind protected walls, behind security. None of them are involved in any of this. And they're letting the American people just go at it with the ICE agents. And so I have the clip here, and I'm going to play the clip of who Donald Trump said they're targeting. This is important because, yes, he says that they should all be removed. And so we're going to, I'm going to find this moment here by searching some of the keywords, the key terms here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, let me bring this clip in for you. And if you're just joining in the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, like, comment, all of that stuff so we can get the word out, so we can get the show out for folks that are just joining in. And we can then just have a broader, a bigger conversation concerning the matters at hand. Because this is all very important when it comes to how America, where it's trending to be in the next coming year, in the next coming, leading up until the midterms and 2028. So here we go. This is Donald Trump and what he's saying concerning who ICE is targeting here.
Need legislation to close the border. They had millions of people coming in a month. We have nobody coming in, and we're getting the murderers out. Murderers, people from prisons and jails. Many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people we're getting out. And we have a lot of heart. They said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels. And
Look, the media won't cover this either. Trump's saying, look, these are there are some good people here. They're trying to work and have a better life for themselves. They come from a country that is absolutely corrupt. And then he begins to say this. So here we go. Let's let him cook a little bit longer.
And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them.
And so this is the point here. You can keep going on. This is not going to change when it comes to his messaging. He's literally saying, look, it's not like we're heartless here. We understand the fact that these people are seeking a better life. However, they still broke the law, and this is what he's doing. And then you look at, again, the level of inconsistency when it comes to the Democratic side. Let's listen to Barack Obama. Let's listen to Hillary Clinton. Let's listen to these folks on the left. And again, you're going to see just the inconsistency start to come out here. We're like, well, here we go. Let's play this clip here of Hillary Clinton.
As we're seeing these thousands of children come across, shunted off into makeshift shelters.
It's horrible.
Hard choice. Let them stay in the United States or send them back.
Well, 2 quick points. One, the numbers are increasing dramatically. And the main reason I believe why that's happening is that the violence in certain of those Central American countries is increasing dramatically. And there is not sufficient law enforcement or will on the part of the governments of those countries to try to deal with this exponential increase in violence, drug trafficking, the drug cartels. And many children are fleeing from that violence.
Should they be able to stay here? It's safer.
It may be safer, but that's not the answer. I do not.
Should they be sent back?
Well, first of all, we have to provide the best emergency care we can provide. We have children 5 and 6 years old who have come up from Central America. We need to do more to provide border security in southern Mexico.
They should be sent back now.
Well, they should be sent back as soon as it can be determined who responsible adults and their families are, because there are concerns about whether all of them can be sent back. But I think all of them who can be should be reunited with their families. And just as Vice President Biden is arguing today in Central America, we've got to do more. I started this when I was secretary to deal with the violence in this region, to deal with border security. But we have to send a clear message. Just because your child gets across the border, that doesn't mean the child gets to stay. So we don't want to send a message that is contrary to our laws or will encourage more children to make that dangerous journey.
Then we have Barack Obama, the deporter in chief. Here we go.
I'm the president of the United States. I'm not the emperor of the United States.
And this is funny that he mentions that he's not the emperor of the United States when the left is calling Trump, and they're saying no kings, no kings. And so the Democrats are going to believe Obama. They're going to trust in Obama. They're going to trust in Hillary. They're going to trust in their Democratic Party. Again, it's all inconsistent here. So how can you even believe a single word that the Democrat Party is touting and spouting their nonsense on social media, on live broadcasts?
My job is to execute laws that are passed. And Congress right now has not changed what I consider to be a broken immigration system. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that we have certain obligations.
And by the way, you say, notice he was able to deport without having Nazis in the street. You've got it all wrong. You've got it so twisted. Because the only reason why these protests are happening is because Trump is in office. Is because the Democrat Party is the party of violence. The Democrat Party is the party of lies. They will not stop. They will not stop being loud. They will not stop being obnoxious and intrusive. They will not stop impeding law enforcement. They're breaking laws. They're lawless. And they're inconsistent. And they begin to analyze the Trump administration, and they try to call out the hypocrisy. They try to call out the lies. They try to call out whatever they want to say. When they fail to accuse their own party of the same things.
To enforce the laws that are in place, even if we think that in many cases the results may be tragic. There are going to be some stories that break our hearts. And more importantly, we're going to continue to have an economy that is stifled by a really inefficient system where not only are we deporting folks, but we also have a legal immigration system that is so bottlenecked that it forces sometimes people into the illegal system. You know, I'm the president.
So if you're just joining this podcast, subscribe to the podcast. If you are liking what you're seeing so far, for those that have been already with us the last couple of minutes that we've started this broadcast, like, share the show. We're going to continue on here because we're going to let A.G. Mays continue her statements regarding what she said, and we might do a little bit of a refresher to show you the thing that she said concerning her laws, that she's reminding the ability that the Arizona residents have in the case that they feel like their life is being threatened, which is very dangerous because we may see the force against law enforcement by residents, the lethal force, I should say. So let's let her continue on here.
And state and local law enforcement, if the Trump administration surges a large number of poorly trained agents to our state. ICE's behavior is destroying the public's trust in law enforcement and putting every American, including local law enforcement, in danger. It will take years, if not decades, to undo the damage that has been done over the past 12 months. The Trump administration must stop this chaos and destruction and pull this country back from the brink. I will always stand in support of Arizona sheriffs and police departments, and my office will continue to work with our state, local, and tribal partners to keep Arizona safe and peaceful. I urge the Trump administration to do the same. And as long as I am Arizona's Attorney General, I will never waver in my defense of the United States Constitution and the rights that it guarantees the people of this great nation.
So the one thing to say concerning this, because let's go back to what she said about the Stand Your Ground law. Because for those that are just joining in, they're probably missing some context here. So I have to go back in order to show you what she said concerning this.
Almost every other state where this buildup is happening, Bram, is that we're a stand your ground state. We have one of the most expansive stand your ground laws in the entire country that rivals even Florida. We also have a lot of guns in Arizona. We're a gun culture in this state. And, you know, it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
We've got to stop it on that frame there because she's basically saying with that face, whatever happens, happens. And so where are the leaders? Where are the leaders such as Jacob Frey? Where are the leaders such as Tim Walz who are saying, hey, look, don't impede law enforcement. Let them do their job. They let them do their job during the Obama administration. This is why we didn't see riots happen in the streets. This is why we didn't see chaos ensue when they began to enforce the law. This is what they're doing. Simply, they are enforcing the law. And so this is AOC. This is what she's saying on her little moment on CNN. As they're all hiding behind their protective security guards, their mansions, their wonderful, beautiful, protected houses. You're seeing Ilhan Omar. I mean, she's really trying to cover this up, the fraud, by focusing on what ICE is doing, by saying that they are terrorizing American citizens, when they are actively looking into her income, the growth in her income, which doesn't make sense as a congresswoman, where she begins to say online that my salary is only $174,000. Yeah, sure, Ilhan. We'll see what they find. We'll see if they find anything. How does she get this much money?
Well, Jake, as you mentioned, that's just one of several videos that are out there. There's a second angle that appears to be circulating much closer to the incident, where you see the victim, I believe his name is Alex Preddy, and immediately preceding that incident, an ICE officer had pushed violently a woman to the ground, and he had come over to help get her up. And that is what precipitated this incident that very quickly led to an execution, a deadly shooting in the street. What we are seeing here is a momentous, pivotal moment for the United States. And I cannot underscore enough how precipitous this moment is. ICE and CBP, what we're seeing here, we will see which agencies were responsible. But at the end of the day, under this so-called excuse of border security, where Minneapolis is over 300 miles from the United States border, we have an unleashing of federal agents and violence exerting a tremendous amount of violence and lost life against the American people, who are well within their First Amendment rights, and in this case, it seems as though well within their Second Amendment rights. As you mentioned earlier, in this video, you do not see immediate evidence of anyone reaching for a firearm. It has been reported that he had a legal permit, and this administration's response is that the very fact that he was a legal firearm owner was a reason for them to shoot him in the street. You see directly from DHS's own accounts, they themselves do not claim anything in their accounts or their evidence about any precipitating action, just the fact that he was armed. This is a pivotal moment. And if we do not do something now to contain this abuse of power and violence, which the administration has already indicated earlier this week in discussions about using the Insurrection Act, in which Carolyn Leavitt confirmed that it will be utilized, and they were looking at utilizing it against Americans based on their political affiliation. If we do not do something now, I do not know what can happen afterwards. We have to contain this chaos. This administration is declaring an openness and a justification for violence against American citizens based on their organizing, based on their political affiliation, and they are using the guise of DHS to do it. We have to draw a line in the sand now, across sectors, politically, economically, in our media, and more.
This is the problem with AOC. The level of inconsistency here with her as well is that she is saying things that she doesn't even know to be true. She's talking about, in the last portion here that we just heard, that the American citizens that are well within their rights. Since when has impeding law enforcement being well within the rights of the First Amendment speech? Since when is blocking law enforcement from conducting their operations with their vehicles, from ramming them with their vehicles? We saw the increase in the numbers that they shared through the press briefings. Caroline Leavitt has shared, that J.D. Vance has shared, that Trump has shared concerning this matter, concerning DHS, concerning, all these data points. But yet people will ignore this, and they just won't care. They really don't care. What they want to see is They want to see Trump removed from his position. That is their goal. Their goal is to remove Trump. Their goal is to make America a third world country. Their goal is to import the third world so they can become the third world. So for those that are saying, oh, you're inconsistent. Okay, so tell me, is what we're seeing in Minnesota peaceful? Is it mostly peaceful? Is it somewhat peaceful? Is this justified? Is the violence against officers who have families justified? This is what they're doing to ICE agents who are apparently staying at this hotel. I mean, this is who the left is. So, for those that are watching this clip, for the comment that is mentioned here on this post says a mob of leftists are trying to break in. They're clashing with security at the hotel. They claim ICE are staying in St. Paul, Minnesota. Where's the police? Where's the National Guard? We saw video clips of the National Guard handing out donuts to these protesters. So, how is this okay? How is this okay? Here's another clip. I mean, first of all, how obnoxious. I mean, that's what they're there to do. They're there to agitate, they're there to make all this noise. And this is what's happening in Minnesota. They're breaking property. And yet nobody's going to get arrested for this. When they should. The National Guard should be protecting their own. The National Guard should be protecting and aiding the ICE agents in order to prevent lawlessness from coming into fruition. And by the way, if you're asking what is my viewpoint, maybe that's a good thing that you don't know my viewpoint as of yet. If you haven't been on this channel, on this show, my viewpoint is that we live in a fallen world, and the things that we're seeing today are only going to get worse. And the fact that we have the scriptures that prophesy the fact that there is going to be a level of chaos, a level of lawlessness that will abound in the last days, that these are only the beginning of sorrows when it comes to the world, that creation groans for its creator. There is so much happening around the world globally that, yes, we can try to believe in politicians and what they say, and when some actually act upon the things that they campaigned on, in the sense that why we voted for them, we begin to see the media, everything begins to brew, everything begins to circulate, especially when it comes to the Republican Party, when it comes to the conservatives. When it comes to the Democrats know how to use their power. They know how to control people. Because ultimately that's what the Democrats want, is they want to control people. They want you to sit down, they want you to listen, and they want you to be obedient. The conservatives are for your rights. They want you to live a life that is free. They want to protect innocent life, such as the unborn. They want to make America great. They want to make America first. And the one way to do that is, of course, by abiding by the laws that America has already established prior to any of these presidents coming into office. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is unprecedented in what we are saying. This is not normal behavior. This is demonically inspired. The one who inspires it is Satan himself, in order to sow confusion, to cause destruction. What does the scripture say? That Satan seeks to steal, kill, and destroy? It's what he's good at. It's the same old playbook. And so this is an interesting point because we're looking at video footage. Check this video out. Somebody managed to slow this clip down here. And despite the fact that we have, technologies, and hopefully this is not, using AI. So hard to tell these days. But what you can see from this slowed down clip, you can see what appears to be either, here it talks about some smoke, some dust that fires out of the weapon, possibly the muzzle flash. It's broad daylight, probably hard to see. So when you see the firearm go off, you can kind of see right here this puff of smoke as soon as you hear the firing of the weapon. And people are beginning to talk about this. Yes, it is stabilized, possibly. Well, I wouldn't say it's stabilized. I think there's certain features in Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro where you can optimize the video performance when you slow it down, or you can do frame blending. This doesn't look like frame blending because you don't see the warping that you would normally see when you do this, when you slow down a video. And as a professional editor, I know how clips look when you begin to slow things down. They don't look as smooth as this. So however they manage to, get it this smooth without much distortion around the movement of this officer moving is quite incredible. So either this video was indeed filmed in a high frame rate and it was slowed down on, it was just slowed down through somebody grabbing it online and their program recognized the frame rate being 60 frames per second. And they were able to at least get this type of, or this level of smoothness. And so this is not stabilization. However, there is already stabilization built into the iPhones or whatever is being recorded on. But you're seeing this sort of puff of smoke fire out of the barrel as soon as you hear the shot go off. So whether it's distortion, whether it is smoke, this could have triggered people to, or the ICE agents to then fire at at Alex on the ground. They get spooked out. They begin to fire, thinking that maybe he possibly shot. And so we have this video here, which is actually interesting. It shows that somebody was able to replicate this gun that may have been defective. Gun rights advocate Taylor D. Rhodes made a video 5 months ago showing the same gun Alex Preddy was carrying can accidentally discharge. Some people are speculating the first shot heard in the footage was Preddy's gun after an officer removed it from his belt after they shout "gun, gun." And then the second officer reacted with the next shot. Did the gun go off unprompted? If that's the case, ICE agent liability debates aside, Alex Preddy's family could probably sue Sig Sauer, the manufacturer of the M30 320 pistol.
Put some input into the slide somewhere. Will it go off again? Will it release? Let's see. That's 3 in a row. Let me take the screw out. Number 4. Let's try it again. Let me show you. Fully functioning striker safety. All right. Should we do it with the magazine again? Let's put the magazine back in, and then we'll try the last one with the magazine out. Handy dandy trigger input tool. We are going to try to, dang, sorry about that. I'm trying to get over a sinus thing and a cough. We're going to try to simulate All right, here we go. Again, we are roughly, as we saw on the tabletop, I'm guessing we're roughly 1 millimeter to less than 1 millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see if we can get it to go off again.
So it's just a data point. Whether this is true, obviously DHS said that they're actively more details forthcoming. Right, their exact words, of which I shared yesterday from one of their posts. Don't know if I still have it. I don't think I have it bookmarked here. However, their words on their X post, they say that details are still forthcoming. Now, Donald Trump has said this on Truth Social, which Caroline Leavitt posted on X, saying during the 4 years of crooked Joe Biden and Democrats' failed leadership, tens of millions of illegal alien criminals poured into our country, including hundreds of thousands of convicted murderers, rapists, kidnappers, drug dealers, and terrorists. I won the election in a historic landslide, which it was historic. The Republicans won majorities in both the House and the Senate, in large part because we pledged to seal the border, which we have done, and launched the largest mass deportation of illegal alien criminals in American history. The deportation effort is underway, and Republican-run cities and states, these operations are going peacefully and smoothly because law enforcement officers are allowed to work with their federal counterparts. For example, in the 5 Republican states of Texas, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Louisiana, ICE has arrested 150,000 illegal criminal aliens over the past year, with zero protests, riots, or chaos. Why? Because local police and ICE are cooperating and working together. Meanwhile, Democrat-run sanctuary cities and states are refusing to cooperate with ICE. And in the case of Virginia, they also had passed a law in order to prevent law enforcement to aid ICE. And it says, and they were actually encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct their operations to arrest the worst of the worst people. By doing this, Democrats are putting illegal alien criminals over tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, and they have created dangerous circumstances for everyone involved. Tragically, two American citizens have lost their lives as a result of this Democrat-ensued chaos. These are sheep being led to the slaughter, as I said before. This is why I'm hereby calling on Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and every Democrat governor and mayor in the United States of America to formally cooperate with the Trump administration to enforce our nation's laws rather than resist and stoke the flames of division, chaos, and violence. Governor Walz, Mayor Fry should turn over all criminal illegal aliens that are currently incarcerated in their state prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with illegal criminals with an active warrant or known criminal history for immediate deportation. Saying state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over illegal aliens arrest by local police. Local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes. Democrat politicians must partner with the federal government to protect American citizens in the rapid removal of all criminal illegal aliens in our country. Some Democrats in places like Memphis, Tennessee, or Washington, D.C. have done so, resulting in safer streets for all. In addition, I am hereby calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation to end sanctuary cities, which is the root cause of all of these problems. American cities should be safe sanctuaries for law-abiding citizens only, not illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws. All of these requests are rooted in common sense and will provide the best possible circumstances to make America great again. The Trump administration is standing by and waiting for any Democrat to do the right thing and to work with us on these important matters of making America safe, like it is in all sections of our country where we are together with local leadership participating and involved. So what do the Democrats have to say about this? Do they care? Do they care about aiding the government to make this as peaceful as possible so that there are no more tragic deaths of anybody? Because the loss of life, as God says, that he does not desire the wicked to perish. Life is precious. But why God does not desire the wicked to perish is simply put that he desires that they come to the knowledge of truth, the knowledge of God, that he is there and willing and able to rescue anybody from their transgressions, their sins, everything. And so you've already got some fallacies there in your question, or in your question there. You say, a lot of people are people they are rounding up are not illegal criminals, rapists. What do you have to say about the 5-year-old boy taken or the 2-year-old? So, first of all, you got to have some common sense here. That do you really believe that they're taking these 5-year-old children? What was the 5-year-old? What happened? What did we see? We saw the father leave and abandon the 5-year-old. As anybody, any right citizen in their right mind, what would they do? They would care after the child. Can't leave a child alone. Anybody knows this. This is common sense. You don't leave a child alone. So what did the law enforcement do? They went to aid the child. They got him McDonald's. They put him in a place safely, and they brought him back to his family. The family in which wasn't being targeted by these ICE raids or operations. And so, you talk about your rhetoric that you're sharing in the chat, the lack of common sense here, and you're taking the broad statements that the Democrats are saying that they're terrorizing American citizens. What is ICE agents' responsibility to do? And yes, in some cases, your statement is true in the sense they are rounding up people that are not illegal criminals or rapists, because these are Americans that are impeding law enforcement. What do you expect them to do? Allow them to continue impeding law enforcement? They are breaking the law. In many cases, in mostly all the cases that we've seen online, this is what they're doing. And what you're going to begin to see and hear from the left-wing media and from your wicked politicians who don't care about the lives of Americans. They don't care. They just want their martyrs. They want their cause to grow so big that it's going to be so hard for the American people, the ones that are the sheep being led to the slaughter. They want them to vote. They want them to vote for these corrupt politicians. And so we'll read this scripture as we read it before. It says, "Can the wicked rulers be allied with you? Those who frame injustice by law. They band together against the life of righteous and condemn the innocent to death. But the Lord has become my stronghold, And my God, the rock of my refuge, he will bring back on them their iniquity and wipe them out for their wickedness. The Lord our God will wipe them out. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. What we are witnessing, what we are seeing is unprecedented. And this is an America that is completely divided on the issue of good and evil. And what they are beginning to do is they're beginning to say that evil is good and good is evil. This is disgusting, what we are witnessing today. This is disgusting that we're witnessing the left rally against the ones who are trying to enforce the law, who are attempting to enforce the law but can't. Guys, as we continue covering everything that we're seeing in this day and age, I hope that you seek God. I hope that you begin to ask for repentance, that he can save you from your sins and your iniquities. Because the truth, there's no truth in this world. We can try to seek truth, we can try to find the truth, but the only thing, or the only place we'll find truth is in the Lord God Almighty and in his word. Guys, if you appreciated what you heard and saw and listened concerning this commentary, concerning this podcast, and you want to email me more concerning the issues that we talked about, email me, freedom@equallyyokeshow.com, and let's have more of a dialogue concerning this. And of course, you can always subscribe. That is the best way you can support this channel for free. Of course, you can also do a super chat if you so if you want to do so as well, in order to grow this podcast to what it can be. So, by all means, you do what you will. You come back and you can continue commenting if you'd like, but at least subscribe so you know and you're notified when we go live on this broadcast. So you can put the notification bell and you can have these discussions, and hopefully we can all come to an agreement that open dialogue. And when we begin to keep the dialogue open, as it says when you join the chat, the sort of guidelines that dialogue is there in order to speak to the other side. Because if you don't, if dialogue stops, you begin to think that they are violent. So guys, this is the Equally Yoked Show. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you, and God bless America. Let's make America safe. And let's be careful with what we are turning our ears to. And let's avoid having the itching ears to hear every wind of doctrine. Go back to the scriptures, go back to the truth, and that is God's word completely. And the one point that I'll make, the final point that I'll make, is you said, YouTube Punk, you just called the left violent. Yes, they are violent. You saw it with your very own eyes. You saw it with your eyes with everything that I showed you. And not only that, you still have the data points that are false concerning the fact that the right is more violent. It's false data. Because you're seeing the violence of the left on full display, and yet you'll see charts and data from left-wing organizations saying that the right is the one that is violent. They're the party of violence, when that is completely false. It takes common sense to understand this, that the right is not violent. You haven't seen not one protest concerning this on the side of the right. Even when the Democrats are in power, what do? We take it to the ballot. What do? We make sure that we get involved. We don't sit idly. I think the Republicans are really good at sitting idly. The conservatives are really they are really good at sitting idly. And I don't think all Democrats are violent, but they can be violent when you have their leaders that are sharing the nonsense that they do, and they will, for their cause, become the martyr. And it's unfortunate. Those are leaders you shouldn't want in your party. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Be sure to like, subscribe. I'll see you. Peace.